what Trump has been up against since he's been on the ticket, come down the golden escalator, is just the deep state, a hostile, weaponized government that did not want to see him as president. And it culminates, and you could see, if you were paying attention, and I know that you're a guy that pays attention, but you could see whether it's the impeachments to hoaxes and January 6th stuff, and then, trying to throw the guy in jail and trying to use the power of government to take his business, just slow escalations over time. And then on July 13th, I was at the rally where someone tries to kill the guy, and we still to this day know nothing about the shooter, Matthew Crooks. Nothing. In fact, the FBI cremates his body just a short time after it happens, like handle it in what I think is the most suspicious of ways.
Right.
48 hours after the attempted Reagan assassination, the world knew everything there was to know about Hinckley in an age where we had far less information at our fingertips. And so what do you make, again, as a former CIA guy, talking to Sam Faddis, by the way, for folks who are just joining us, what do you make of all of this? And how does Trump navigate? Because I don't think he's out of the woods yet. He hasn't taken power yet. He's being really proactive. And I've told this audience that I think that, the time between him winning and him being inaugurated is actually a really dangerous time. And how does he navigate this?
Well, I agree with your last comment that we're really in a very vulnerable position right now. I mean, domestically, but also internationally, right? I mean, if you're anybody who wishes the United States ill, you got 60 days left to take a shot with Joe Biden as the guy who is your adversary. And then you got to take your chances against Donald Trump. So if you're ready to jump, it might be a good idea from their standpoint to jump now and not wait until after January. So I agree wholeheartedly with that. On the deep state issue, look, in the Constitution, there are 3 branches of government. There's no 4th branch of government, federal bureaucracy, and nobody ever contemplated a federal bureaucracy of any significant size. Nobody in their wildest imagination would have ever thought of a machine that is as large as it is now, and as powerful and as operating independent of control or oversight, right? So, I mean, you got bureaucrats theoretically can issue regulations to implement legislation.
Absolutely.
State legislature or the federal Congress signs a law, passes a law, and then all the minutia has to be implemented via regulations, but that's all it's supposed to be. Okay, we crossed that bridge a long time ago. We all know that. These guys, bureaucrats, call it a regulation, but it is a law, and they actually control they exercise control over Americans nobody ever envisioned. The Constitution doesn't allow for. And by virtue of controlling the purse strings, all the way down to the level of like your school boards that are supposed to be completely independent, right? Because they give you federal money. This is an interesting mechanism. They take your money, suck it up to Washington, D.C., siphon off X percentage to pay for the overhead. And then for the privilege of you getting your money back at the local or state level, they require you to satisfy certain conditions. So back in your school board, that tax money that you paid, to get part of it back, you have to do whatever the feds tell you to do, right? So, I mean, this bureaucracy is out of control. It runs the United States of America. Congress sits there on the sidelines. And I tell you, these guys have no intention of going quietly into the night, man. Just because you elected Donald Trump and sent him there. And I mean, I campaigned for him and worked for him and 100% supportive. But if you think that was the silver bullet and all by itself, we won the war, you're not paying attention. I mean, the war is just getting started in D.C. They are going to dig in, and they will attempt to fight his agenda and prevent him from accomplishing his mission. And it will be a bloody, protracted conflict down there. They are not going to go away. And it is not a question, in my view, of tinkering around the edges. I mean, you got to take a meat axe to this thing.